The clink of ice in expensive glasses, the low murmur of polite conversation that always sounds like judgment in this house, the heavy scent of Aunt Eleanor's overpowering gardenia perfume, it's all the same. And then, the splash. Red wine, dark as blood, blooms across the bodice of the cream silk dress I spent weeks designing, weeks stitching. It clings, cold and damp against my skin. I look up. Vanessa. My cousin. Her hand is still outstretched, the offending wineglass tilted just so. "Oh my God, Clara, I am so sorry. I tripped. Clumsy me." Her voice is pitch-perfect regret, but her eyes hold that flicker, that tiny, triumphant spark I know better than my own reflection. A faint, satisfied smirk ghosts her lips before melting back into practiced horror. The sickly sweet cloud of her own designer perfume and something aggressively fruity mingles with the wine's sharp, tangy aroma. Deja vu hits me like a physical blow, stealing my breath. It's happening again, exactly again. But this time is different. Because I remember. The last time felt like this, it wasn't just a family gathering. It was the Vanguard Fashion Gala, the biggest night for emerging designers. My dress, the one that was supposed to launch everything, ended up ruined minutes before my showcase. Vanessa, same apology, same fake clumsiness, different drink champagne that time, sticky and pale. My meticulously planned debut dissolved into panicked attempts to salvage the unsalvageable. The whispers started, questioning my professionalism, my readiness. Vanessa, meanwhile, swooped in later that evening, charming everyone, dropping hints about her upcoming collection. A collection built on concepts suspiciously similar to sketches I'd shown her in confidence weeks before. That night broke something in me. It wasn't just the dress. It was the culmination of years of subtle sabotage, of stolen ideas, of being perpetually overshadowed. Aunt Eleanor, her mother, smoothed it over publicly, of course, framing it as an unfortunate accident, but privately implying I couldn't handle the pressure. My confidence, already fragile, shattered. The design world felt impenetrable, hostile. I retreated. The vibrant colors I loved faded from my work, then from my world. Depression wrapped around me like a shroud. It wasn't dramatic, my end. Just careless. A rainy night, a missed step near a busy road, the blare of a horn I barely registered, then darkness, and then light. Not heavenly light, just the familiar morning sun filtering through the curtains of my old bedroom window. My teenage bedroom window. I sat bolt upright, heart pounding, the phantom sensation of cold rain still on my skin. My hands flew to my face, smooth, unlined. My room posters I hadn't thought about in years, textbooks stacked on the desk. A calendar on the wall read, June 10th, 5 years. I was 5 years in the past. The memories, the bitterness, the crushing weight of failure. It was all still there, sharp and undiluted inside a younger, unharmed body. A second chance? A terrifying, unbelievable second chance. This family, it's complicated. We swim in money, old money tied up in textiles, and, more recently, fashion publishing thanks to Aunt Eleanor. She's the editor-in-chief of Elan, the magazine that can make or break careers. My mother, Eleanor's sister, was the real talent. A brilliant, innovative designer who died too young, leaving behind a legacy whispered about in awe, but rarely discussed openly, especially by Eleanor. I inherited Mom's eye, her feel for fabric, her instinct for structure. Vanessa inherited Aunt Eleanor's ambition and social maneuvering skills. Guess which is valued more in this family? Vanessa has always been louder, brighter, demanding the spotlight. I was the quiet one, head down in my sketchbook. Aunt Eleanor cultivated this dynamic, praising Vanessa's mediocre efforts while politely overlooking my breakthroughs. Vanessa has such presence, Clara dear. You're more behind the scenes. It was her mantra. Vanessa needed the validation the opportunities handed to her because deep down, even then, she knew she didn't have the spark. My mother's absence left a void Eleanor tried to fill by molding Vanessa into a pale imitation, pushing her daughter into a world she wasn't truly built for. Looking back now, with the clarity of hindsight and the sting of ultimate betrayal, the pattern is nauseatingly clear. It started small in the first timeline. Borrowed sketches returned with crucial details smudged. Offhand comments I made about a new technique suddenly appearing as the centerpiece of Vanessa's class project, me suggesting a specific sustainable fabric, only for her to present a whole concept around it to Aunt Eleanor a week later, claiming it as her own discovery. Each time, I'd felt a prickle of unease, but I'd pushed it down. She was family. I was probably being paranoid. Aunt Eleanor always waved away my tentative concerns. Don't be silly, Clara. Inspiration flows. Families share. But it wasn't sharing. It was theft, slow and insidious. The Vanguard Gala wasn't the first major incident, just the most public. The one that finally broke my career before it even began. After that, I watched from the sidelines as Vanessa's star rose, fueled by my creativity. She built a brand, got featured in Elan, of course, and became the darling niece carrying on the family's fashion legacy. While I just faded. The memory tastes like ashes in my mouth, but this time, standing here with cold wine soaking into silk, watching Vanessa's fake concern, I feel something new stirring beneath the déjà vu. Not despair, resolve. Cold, hard resolve. She wants to ruin my dress again? Fine. Let her. This time she can watch while I walk the runway she only ever dreamed of taking by force. Vanessa turns, already performing for the small cluster of relatives nearby. Honestly, Aunt Caro, Uncle Ben, I feel just terrible. She dabs at her eyes with a lace-edged handkerchief, a prop she probably keeps for moments just like this. Watching her now, it's like seeing backstage. The perfection, the immaculate blonde hair, the designer outfit that's just the right amount of trendy, the carefully modulated voice. It's all a costume. Beneath it, I see the frantic insecurity I was too naive to notice before. She has the pedigree, the connections, the expensive fashion education Aunt Eleanor paid for, but the raw talent? It's not there. It's a gaping hole she tries to fill by grabbing anyone else's light. I remember catching glimpses of it in our first life, moments when the mask slipped. Late at night, crying over a design that wouldn't come together, snapping at anyone who offered genuine critique. The desperate need for praise. She surrounds herself with pretty, agreeable people who echo her opinions, who amplify her presence. Alone, she's less, smaller. And she hates it. Her weapon isn't overt aggression. It's the plausible deniability, the accidents, the borrowed ideas returned slightly damaged, the faint praise that damns. Oh, Clara's design is interesting, very niche, always delivered with a supportive smile. It's insidious, and it worked perfectly the first time. Then there's Aunt Eleanor. She sweeps over now, surveying the damage to my dress with a critical eye, her expression less concerned about me, more annoyed by the disruption. Vanessa, darling, accidents happen. Clara, really, you should have been more careful where you were standing. Always my fault, somehow. Eleanor is formidable. As editor of Elan, she holds immense power. Invitations, features, introductions. She controls the gates. And she uses that power ruthlessly, mostly for Vanessa. She's not stupid. On some level, she must know her daughter's limitations. But admitting it would mean admitting her own project molding Vanessa into a star is failing. Her manipulation is subtler than Vanessa's, cloaked in familial duty and industry wisdom. Clara, you understand. Vanessa needs this opportunity more right now. Your time will come. Weaponizing loyalty, making me feel selfish for wanting my own success. I think, deep down, she's terrified of becoming irrelevant. My mother was the true star of her generation. Eleanor lived in that shadow. Promoting Vanessa is her way of claiming a piece of that legacy, twisting it into something manageable, something hers. My genuine talent? That's a threat to her control, a reminder of the sister she could never quite match. And Vanessa never operates alone. Her entourage flits around the edges of the room now, whispering. Madison, the unofficial leader, catches my eye and offers a tight, insincere smile before turning back to her huddle. They function as Vanessa's spies and cheerleaders, amplifying her triumphs, subtly spreading rumors about her rivals. Their social media feeds are carefully curated galleries of Vanessa's genius, full of candid shots where she just happens to look thoughtful sketching in a notebook, likely full of my ideas, or laughing charmingly with some industry bigwig Aunt Eleanor introduced her to. In my first life, I thought they were my friends too, blinded by their surface level friendliness. Now their whispers sound like the buzzing of angry hornets, their smiles like bared teeth. They see me as an obstacle to Vanessa's success, and therefore, to their own proximity to power. Even Dominic Rossi is here tonight, my former design professor. He's chatting near the fireplace, holding court. In my first life, he was an early champion, recognizing my potential. But somehow, after a few quiet words from Aunt Eleanor, a few chance encounters arranged by Vanessa showcasing her stolen work, his enthusiasm cooled. He became dismissive. "Clara, your work is competent but lacks a certain commercial appeal," he'd said, echoing lines I later realized were fed to him. Seeing him now, catching a whiff of that distinctive, expensive sandalwood cologne he always wore, sets off warning bells. He's already looking past me, his attention fixed on Vanessa across the room. He's another piece on their board, easily manipulated by promises of access or influence via Aunt Eleanor. They think I'm the same naive, easily intimidated Clara. They see the ruined dress, my quiet withdrawal from the center of the room, and assume I'm crumbling. Let them. This time, I have a plan. Later tonight, when the house is quiet, I'll retrieve my real sketchbook. Not the one I strategically leave out for Vanessa to borrow, but the one hidden deep inside a false bottom drawer in my desk. Under the moonlight, with only the rustle of fabric swatches I've started collecting again, I'll work. I'll appear unambitious, resigned, maybe even broken. But secretly, stitch by stitch, sketch by sketch, I'm building my arsenal for redemption. They won't see me coming until it's too late, like it happens less than a week later, just like clockwork. I'm sketching in the shared living room, deliberately working on some simpler, almost generic floral patterns. Things I know Vanessa finds boring, but Aunt Eleanor might deem commercially viable. Vanessa breezes in, all smiles and feigned interest. "Oh, Clara, what are you working on?" Looks sweet. She peers over my shoulder. "Listen, I'm having a total block for Professor Dubois's assignment. Could I possibly borrow your notebook just for an hour? Just to get some inspiration?" Her eyes are wide, pleading. The performance is flawless. In my first life, I hesitated, then agreed. The notebook came back with a conveniently spilled latte blurring half a dozen key concept sketches for a competition entry. This time, I force a smile. "Sure, Nessa, just be careful with it, okay?" She returns it exactly 58 minutes later, placing it on the table with exaggerated care. "Thanks so much. You're a lifesaver." But I see it immediately. A dark, ugly coffee ring sits squarely on the page, detailing a unique pleating technique I was particularly proud of. Another page has a tear near the binding. "Oh, clumsy me again," she exclaims, noticing my gaze. "My hand slipped. I'm so sorry, Clara." Aunt Eleanor, conveniently walking by, overhears. "Vanessa, honestly, but Clara, don't make such a fuss. It's just a sketch. Family shares ideas, remember? Perhaps it's a sign that design wasn't meant to be." She pats my shoulder condescendingly, the scent of her gardenia perfume making me nauseous. The bitter aroma of stale coffee hangs in the air between me and Vanessa, an unspoken accusation she easily ignores. I bite back the angry retort clawing its way up my throat. Instead, I close the notebook slowly. "You're right, Aunt Eleanor. It's fine. Maybe I should focus on something simpler anyway." I manage a watery smile. "These complex designs are probably too much for me." Later, I make sure Vanessa sees me slump onto the sofa, head in my hands. I retreat to the bathroom and splash water on my face, letting a few genuine tears of frustration mingle with the tap water before emerging red-eyed. From the corner of my eye, I see Vanessa reflected in the hall mirror watching me. A small, almost imperceptible smile plays on her lips. She thinks she's won. She thinks she's successfully discouraged me again. What she doesn't know is that every single design, every note, every experimental technique from that notebook, and dozens more she's never seen, exists digitally, backed up securely on an encrypted drive hidden amongst old college files. That night, long after the house is silent except for the gentle hum of the air conditioning, I'm not sleeping. I'm finalizing my application for the Emergences Mentorship Program, an exclusive opportunity run by a panel of industry legends. People outside Aunt Eleanor's immediate sphere of influence. I attach high-resolution files of my real work, the designs Vanessa tried to sabotage. I also draft an email to Colette Dubois, a retired couturier who was one of my mother's closest friends and harshest critics. I haven't spoken to her in years, but I need guidance. Someone untouchable by Eleanor. My sewing machine, muffled by towels, whispers quietly as I start mocking up a miniature version of the coffee-stained pleating technique, refining it. A few days later, a chance encounter feels like fate intervening. I'm sourcing vintage fabrics downtown when a young guy with kind eyes and an old Leica camera approaches me. "Excuse me," he says, hesitant but curious. "You're Clara Ainsworth, right? Eleanor's niece?" I tense, expecting more family drama. "I recognize you from some old photos. My name's Lucas. My grandfather used to photograph your mother's collections." My breath catches. Someone who remembers Mom for her work, not just as Eleanor's departed sister. We talk, really talk, about her designs, her process. I find myself opening up, telling him about my own struggles, hinting at the family dynamics without spilling everything. Lucas listens intently. "Your mother was revolutionary," he says finally. "If you've got even a fraction of her talent, people deserve to see it. Untainted." He offers then and there to document my process, my real process. "Build a visual diary," he suggests. "Proof of creation, time-stamped. Might be useful." The click and flash of his camera as he takes a test shot, illuminating a bolt of emerald silk, feels like the first spark of light in a long time. It's a stark contrast to the posed, filtered falsehoods on Vanessa's feed. An alliance. Unexpected, but welcome. The student showcase arrives a month later. It's a relatively small affair, mostly faculty, students, and a few local industry people. Vanessa is presenting the collection she developed from my borrowed and subsequently damaged notebook ideas. She's beaming, accepting compliments on her innovative pleating and unique draping. Aunt Eleanor sits front row, looking proud. Dominic Rossi is there too, nodding approvingly. I arrive late, deliberately slipping into the back. I'm wearing a simple, almost severe black sheath dress. Understated, boring even. Exactly the kind of thing they now expect from the less ambitious Clara. But as I move subtly into the light near the exit during the applause for Vanessa, something happens. The fabric of my dress catches the overhead spotlights, and faint, intricate patterns bloom across the surface, shimmering watermarks woven directly into the silk, using a technique I perfected from one of my mother's old journals. And embedded within the patterns. My initials, California, repeated in a minuscule, elegant script. It's subtle but visible to anyone paying attention. A few people near me notice, murmuring, pointing. The whispers start, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. It's not an overt accusation, not yet. Just a question mark hanging in the air above Vanessa's triumphant moment. A seed of doubt planted. I watch Vanessa's smile falter slightly as she senses the shift in the room's energy. Then I slip out before anyone can approach me, leaving the questions to simmer. Round 1. The whispers from the showcase fade, but the undercurrent remains. Aunt Eleanor, perhaps sensing the need to reassert control, shifts tactics. She announces she's arranged informational interviews for coveted summer internships at 3 top design houses. For both of us, naturally. "Such a wonderful opportunity for you girls to learn," she says over brunch, her smile tight. The day of the first interview, my phone buzzes with a text from Eleanor's assistant. "Miss Eleanor asked me to confirm your meeting time is 3 p.m. at Sterling House." Strange, I thought it was 2 p.m. But it's official confirmation. I text back thanks and adjust my schedule. I arrive at the sleek, imposing Sterling House building at 2:50 p.m., portfolio in hand. The receptionist gives me a puzzled look. "Clara Ainsworth, your appointment was at 2 p.m. Miss Eleanor and your cousin Vanessa finished about 20 minutes ago." My blood runs cold. I see Vanessa across the lobby, chatting animatedly with the lead designer, portfolio open between them. She looks up, catches my eye, and gives me a small, pitying smile before turning back. Aunt Eleanor glides over. "Clara, oh dear, did you get the time wrong? What a shame. Vanessa had a marvelous meeting." Don't worry, there are other opportunities. The heavy, soundproof doors of the exclusive elevator slide shut, carrying Vanessa and her future upwards, leaving me standing alone in the echoing lobby. Sabotage Level 2. That evening at dinner, I play my part. I recount the mix-up with feigned embarrassment, emphasizing my own foolishness for not double-checking. It's completely my fault, I say, looking suitably crestfallen. I'm just glad Vanessa had such a good interview. She deserves it. I even offer to help her prepare for the next two interviews, suggesting ways she can strengthen her portfolio, subtly pointing out weaknesses I know she can't easily fix without genuine skill. Vanessa laps it up, feeling magnanimous in her success. The weight of the fake smile makes my cheeks ache under the glare of the dining room chandelier, but I hold it. They need to believe I'm disappointed, resigned, and definitely not a threat. Because while they were orchestrating my missed appointment, something else was happening. An email landed in my inbox. The subject line simple: Emergence Mentorship Program. Offer. I'd been accepted. My assigned mentor, Eloise Chen. The Eloise Chen, a legend known for her structural innovation and fierce independence. Someone even Aunt Eleanor couldn't easily influence. My first meeting with Eloise isn't in some corporate high-rise, but in her airy, light-filled studio overlooking the river. It smells of citrus and possibility. She's sharp, direct, and scrutinizes my portfolio with an intensity that's both terrifying and exhilarating. She pauses at the designs Vanessa presented at the showcase. This pleating technique, she says, her gaze sharp. I saw something similar, less refined, in a student exhibition recently, attributed to Vanessa Devereaux, wasn't it? My heart pounds. This is it. I take a deep breath and tell her the truth. Not whinging, just the facts. The borrowed notebook, the coffee stains, the pattern of shared ideas. I expect skepticism, maybe dismissal. Instead, Eloise nods slowly. I know Eleanor Vancroft, she says dryly, and I knew your mother. Isabella was incapable of creating anything less refined. She looks me straight in the eye. Talent recognizes talent, Clara, and theft smells worse than cheap perfume. Let's get to work. Show me what you can really do when you're not being undermined. The relief is overwhelming, quickly followed by a surge of determination. The fresh citrus scent in the studio feels like washing away the stale coffee and cloying gardenia. This is my real opportunity. While Vanessa starts her internship at Sterling House, secured no doubt by Eleanor's influence, struggling to generate original concepts now that her primary source is cut off, I'm deep in creative work with Eloise. And Lucas is there, documenting everything. He captures the late nights, the discarded sketches, the breakthroughs, close-ups of my hands drafting patterns, manipulating fabric, time-stamped photos of finished pieces long before similar elements might mysteriously appear elsewhere. We're building a meticulous record contrasting my documented creative process with the sudden designer's block Vanessa keeps complaining about to her friends. Complaints dutifully reported back to me by sympathetic ears I've cultivated away from Vanessa's circle. Eloise doesn't just mentor, she subtly connects. A casual introduction to a renowned textile supplier here, an invitation to a small salon showing there where key fashion journalists are present. My name starts appearing, quietly but consistently, in industry newsletters and blogs, mentioned as a promising talent under Eloise Chen's wing. Meanwhile, Aunt Eleanor starts getting calls. Polite inquiries from Sterling House about Vanessa's lack of initiative, her difficulty translating concepts into actual garments. Nothing direct, nothing she can easily fight, just concerns. Whispers again, but this time they're working for me. Vanessa's star, built on a shaky foundation, is starting to wobble, and mine, nurtured in secret, is starting to shine. The breaking point comes faster than I expect. Vanessa isn't stupid, just creatively bankrupt. She must have pieced together fragments. My improved mood despite setbacks, the mentions of Eloise Chen, my sudden lack of easily borrowable work left lying around. Desperation makes her reckless. I come home one evening to find my apartment door lock subtly scratched, the deadbolt not quite seated right. Inside, things are slightly disturbed. Papers on my desk shuffled, the closet door ajar, and the hidden compartment beneath my drafting table forced open. My newest portfolio, the one detailing the collection I'm developing under Eloise, is gone. Panic, cold and sharp, jolts through me. Before I can even process, my phone rings. Aunt Eleanor, her voice is glacial. Clara, there's been a situation. Vanessa is very upset. Apparently, you've been working behind our backs. There's talk of stolen ideas, your ideas being suspiciously similar to things Vanessa discussed. We need a family meeting, now. The tribunal takes place in the formal drawing room of my aunt's townhouse, the air thick with tension. Vanessa sits beside her mother, looking pale and wronged, clutching my stolen portfolio like proof of my betrayal. Aunt Eleanor lays it out. This unhealthy competition is tearing the family apart. My secretive mentorship with Eloise, my refusal to collaborate openly with Vanessa, it's causing distress. The implication hangs heavy. I am the problem. The metallic taste of fear mixes with the bitter tang of adrenaline in my mouth. They've cornered me, using my own work against me. This is the moment they expect me to break, to apologize, to shrink back into compliance. Vanessa watches me, eyes narrowed, waiting for the inevitable crumble. Aunt Eleanor slides a document across the polished table. To restore harmony, Clara, I think it's best you withdraw from the emergence program. Focus on supporting Vanessa. We've prepared a simple withdrawal statement for you to sign. I look at the paper. I look at Vanessa's triumphant expression, the smug certainty on Aunt Eleanor's face. I pick up the heavy silver pen, and I sign it. The scratch of nib on paper sounds unnaturally loud in the silent room. Vanessa lets out a tiny sigh of relief, her hand reaching over to squeeze mine in a gesture of fake reconciliation. Her fingernails dig into my palm, leaving sharp little crescents. Victory, for them, feels complete. Thank you, Clara, Aunt Eleanor says, her tone softening now that she's gotten her way. This is for the best, family first. What they don't know is the meeting I had with Eloise yesterday. After discovering the break-in, thanks to a small, discreet security camera Lucas helped me install, I didn't panic. I acted. Eloise, furious but pragmatic, immediately connected me with top intellectual property lawyers. We spent hours documenting everything. Lucas's time-stamped photographs, dated design files, sworn affidavits about my creative process, even records of Vanessa's previous borrowing. We registered copyrights for every single design element in that stolen portfolio, and more. The withdrawal statement I just signed? Meaningless. I never formally accepted the mentorship spot through the program's official portal, communicating directly with Eloise instead, a loophole she'd anticipated. The portfolio Vanessa stole is already obsolete, representing concepts I've evolved beyond, now legally protected under my name. The real portfolio, the final collection designs, rest securely with Eloise's legal team. Holding the heavy binder of legal documents earlier felt like donning armor. 2 days later, an official announcement rocks the local fashion scene. The prestigious City Fashion Week has added a last-minute emerging designer showcase. The final spot, sponsored and personally nominated by Eloise Chen, has been awarded to Clara Ainsworth. The announcement requires a full capsule collection presentation in just 3 weeks, an almost impossible time frame designed to test grit as much as talent. When Eloise called with the news, her voice crackled with challenge. "Can you do it, Clara?" There was no hesitation. "Yes," I replied, the single word tasting like freedom. The deadline looms, a mountain to climb, but I've never felt more ready. Aunt Eleanor finds out, of course, not through me, but through the industry buzz. Her call comes immediately, her voice no longer glacial, but hot with fury. "What is the meaning of this, Clara? We had an agreement. You signed the papers." "I agreed not to cause family disharmony, Aunt Eleanor," I say calmly, standing by my sunlit studio window, watching the city pulse below. "My career is separate from that. Your career exists because of this family's connections. I can withdraw all financial support, your trust fund, your apartment." "You can do whatever you feel you need to do," I interrupt, my voice steady. The grandfather clock in her hallway ticks loudly over the line, marking the seconds of this final standoff. Across my studio, I can see Vanessa in the background of the video call on Eleanor's side, her eyes wide with disbelief. The fear is gone now, replaced by a quiet certainty. I won't be withdrawing from Fashion Week. I won't be backing down, not this time. I end the call before she can respond. The click decisive. The apron strings are cut. Let the games truly begin. Fashion Week arrives in a whirlwind of controlled chaos. Backstage is electric, a tangle of models, dressers, makeup artists, and nervous energy. My capsule collection, Metamorphosis, hangs shrouded under secure covers, guarded by Eloise's trusted team. I take a deep breath, smoothing down the simple silk sheath I'm wearing for now. Lucas gives me a reassuring nod from across the crowded space, camera ready. Aunt Eleanor and Vanessa arrive, not backstage, but taking their VIP seats out front. They radiate confidence, ready to network, completely unaware of my involvement. Eleanor probably thinks my inclusion is some minor student category, easily dismissed. Vanessa keeps scanning the crowd, likely looking for me, expecting me to be hiding in the shadows, watching her orbit the elites. A server offers me champagne, the tiny bubbles rising in the flute mirror, the fizz of adrenaline and concealed excitement inside me. Just before the showcase begins, Eloise takes the stage. A hush falls over the packed venue. "Good evening," she begins, her voice commanding. "Tonight we celebrate new voices. But first, I want to speak about legacy." She talks about innovation, about designers who see the future. Then, her voice softens slightly. "Many of you remember Isabella Ainsworth, my brilliant, departed friend. What few knew was that before she died, Isabella entrusted me with a final sealed collection. Designs so revolutionary, so ahead of their time, she feared the industry wasn't ready." A gasp ripples through the audience. Aunt Eleanor shifts uncomfortably in her seat. Vanessa looks confused. "Isabella left specific instructions," Eloise continues. "The collection was to be opened only by her daughter Clara upon her 25th birthday, a date Clara reached earlier this year." My heart aches. In my first life, I was deep in my depression on my 25th, oblivious. This timeline, this second chance, unlocked not just my future, but my mother's hidden past. Eloise gestures backstage. "Isabella pioneered techniques in fabric treatment and sustainable dyeing that we are only now beginning to appreciate." The faint, familiar scent of my mother's signature lavender and cedar fabric setting solution seems to drift from the hidden collection, bringing tears to my eyes. As Eloise speaks, a sleekly dressed attendant delivers a backstage pass to Aunt Eleanor and Vanessa. "Compliments of Miss Chen," the attendant murmurs. Intrigued, perhaps assuming a private introduction, they make their way backstage, arriving just as Eloise reaches her crescendo. "And so it is my profound honor," Eloise declares, her voice ringing through the speakers, "to reveal not only Isabella Ainsworth's lost legacy, but also to introduce the designer who has brilliantly interpreted and built upon that genius for a new generation. The final designer in our emerging showcase, the rightful heir to Isabella's vision, Clara Ainsworth." The curtain sweeps back. There I stand, center stage, bathed in light. For a split second, I see their faces. Aunt Eleanor's, frozen in disbelief. Vanessa's, slack-jawed with shock. The connection is made instantly. The stolen portfolio, my sudden opportunity, Eloise's protection, the legacy they thought was buried. It all clicks into place with sickening clarity for them. My models begin their walk, showcasing designs that blend my aesthetic with my mother's revolutionary techniques. Fabrics that shift color with light, silhouettes that seem to float. The audience is captivated. Then, for the finale, I walk. I'm wearing the dress, the cream silk dress Vanessa spilled wine on weeks ago. But it's transformed. Using one of Mom's salvaged formulas, I treated the stain, turning the splash of red wine into the starting point for a breathtaking cascade of color. Crimson bleeding into violet, then sapphire, then emerald, shimmering and changing with every step I take under the lights. It's not just a dress, it's a statement. Redemption, woven into the very fabric. The applause starts, then builds into a standing ovation. Phones are up, cameras flash, creating a constellation of light around me. Editors are leaning in, talking excitedly. I stand there, breathing it in. Not just the applause, but the feeling of rightness. Backstage, the adrenaline is still singing in my veins when they find me. Aunt Eleanor and Vanessa push through the crowd, faces streaked with tears. Whether real or strategic, I can't tell. Clara! Oh, Clara, darling, you were magnificent! Aunt Eleanor gushes, reaching for my hands. Your mother would be so proud. We are so proud. Vanessa nods vigorously, eyes wide. It was breathtaking, Clara, truly. We need to talk, a partnership. Think of it, your talent, our connections. Ainsworth and Devereaux Designs. The offers hang in the air, desperate and grasping. I look at them, really look at them. The fading power in my aunt's eyes, the dawning fear in Vanessa's. And I feel nothing. Not anger, not triumph, just distance. No, thank you, I say calmly. My voice is quiet but carries over the backstage din. There's no malice in it, no leftover bitterness, just finality. I turn and walk away, leaving them standing there amidst the chaos, their proposals echoing unanswered. Lucas meets my eye and gives me a genuine, heart-stopping smile. I walk towards the heavy stage door leading out, away from the lights and the noise. It closes behind me with a solid, decisive thud. 1 year later. Sunlight streams into my studio, a sprawling loft space overlooking the heart of the city's fashion district. The view that once felt intimidating now feels like home. The rhythmic hum of sewing machines is a comforting heartbeat beneath the buzz of chatter from my team. 3 talented young apprentices learning the techniques I've refined, blending my mother's rediscovered secrets with my own modern vision. Framed magazine covers featuring my collections line a one-wall, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, even a grudgingly positive feature in Elan, penned by a senior editor, not Eleanor. Success feels less like a destination I fought tooth and nail for and more like the natural environment where my creativity can finally breathe. My relationship with my family is cordial, distant, maintained firmly on my terms. Aunt Eleanor keeps her distance, offering occasional stiff congratulations through third parties. Her influence has waned slightly in the industry since the debacle at Fashion Week and the quiet exposure of her manipulative tactics. She maintains her position at Elan, but the crown rests a little less comfortably now. Vanessa? She actually apologized. Sort of. A tearful, rambling phone call months ago, admitting her jealousy and insecurity. She's apparently in therapy, tackling some deep-seated compulsive behaviors. Surprisingly, she switched her major to fashion marketing. Maybe she's finally finding a path that's actually hers. We don't see each other often. There are no big family dinners, no forced holiday gatherings, just boundaries, held gently but immovably. My mother's legacy isn't just resurrected in my designs. It's actively shaping the future. I used a portion of the initial profits, combined with access to her previously untouched assets, revealed alongside the sealed collection, to establish the Isabella Ainsworth Foundation. It provides scholarships and mentorships for talented designers from underprivileged backgrounds, the kind of support Mom never had starting out. Today I'm teaching a masterclass on sustainable fabric innovation, sharing her eco-friendly techniques. The small, worn silver thimble I found tucked away in her design notes now hangs from a delicate chain around my neck. It catches the afternoon light as I demonstrate a complex drape, feeling less like a weight of expectation and more like a quiet connection, a source of strength. The burning need for revenge? It cooled shortly after Fashion Week, replaced by the sheer joy of creation. Looking back, I realized the struggle wasn't just against Vanessa and Eleanor. It was against the suffocating expectations and toxic dynamics that had choked my talent in the first place. Freedom wasn't just about reclaiming my stolen ideas. It was about reclaiming myself. Standing on my own, making my own decisions, trusting my own vision. That's where the real power came from. Lucas is by my side, no longer just documenting, but a partner in every sense. His camera still captures moments, but now it's less about evidence and more about shared joy. A candid shot of me laughing as a new design finally clicks, his reflection caught in my smiling eyes. An email sits open on my laptop, the subject line simple. Invitation, Paris Fashion Week, official schedule. My sustainable line, heavily featuring Mom's rediscovered techniques, is set to launch internationally. Standing on the studio balcony, I watch the sunset paint the glass skyscrapers in hues of rose and gold, like bolts of celestial fabric catching the light. The city stretches out below, a map of possibilities. A gentle breeze drifts up, carrying the faint scent of blooming jasmine from a nearby park. The scent of success, yes, but also of peace. I breathe it in deeply. The past is settled. The future is mine to design.